Oi, gente! Hello, everyone! Eu sou Virginia, sua professora brasileira. I'm Virginia, your Brazilian Portuguese teacher. Welcome to this class. Today we are going to talk about how to improve your listening and speaking skills using the shadowing technique, which is one of my favorite techniques for language learning. We are going to practice together step by step, and I'm going to give you some tips so you can practice this technique by yourself. We are going to be here for about 30 minutes, and I'll have some time at the end of the class to answer any questions that you have. You can use the live chat to ask questions and also interact with each other. And talking about the live chat, I'm going to share the chat here so I can see your comments. Olá, olá, let me know de onde você é e qual é o seu nome. What is your name and where are you from? De onde você é? Qual é o seu nome? Olá, olá. Oi, Lucy. Oi, Filipia, de São Paulo. Oi, Cecily, como está? Olá, Gabriela, tudo bom? Gilbert, olá, George. Olá, oi, Andrew. Oi, gente, que bom ver vocês. Da Turquia, uau! Bem-vindos, bem-vindos, welcome! Brenda, do Canadá, Steve, da Flórida, oi, Steve! Manuel, da Costa Rica, que legal! Robert, de Nova York, David, oi, David, como está? Ah, obrigada, Lucy. Muito bom, gente. Welcome. So happy to be here with you. And I hope this class is useful for you. I'm going to share my other screen with you now so we can get started. Vamos começar. So before we start, I have a very exciting announcement. Tomorrow, I will open enrollment for our listening and speaking challenge, which has everything to do with today's class. I offered this challenge only once last year, and I received so many good feedback from students, so I'm really excited to offer this year again. Enrollment will open tomorrow. I still have to organize some internal things, and tomorrow I will open enrollment. So if you're interested at all, you can go to our website, speakingbrazilian.com, tomorrow to learn more about this challenge. And the challenge will last 30 days and starts on April 1st. I can talk a little bit more about this at the end of the class, but I want to get started with our content. And I recommend you download this free worksheet I prepared. It is a worksheet to help you practice the shadowing technique that we are going to do today. You can scan this QR code and download it, or you can also use the link that is right below the video. This worksheet also includes all the steps and also some space for you to do some writing exercises and practice production. So download the worksheet. This will really help you practice this after the class and also add this technique to your daily routine. Então vamos começar, let's get started. So the shadowing technique, I have published videos about this in the past, so if you have been following me for a while, you already have heard of this technique. This technique really helps you improve listening, pronunciation, and fluency, and also increase your vocabulary because it's based on a lot of input, right? So when you're practicing, you get a lot of input, so naturally you also increase your vocabulary. And it's a very interesting way to get some speaking practice, even when you don't have anyone to practice with. Of course, the ideal speaking practice is in a conversation with someone else, right? But it's hard to have this opportunity to speak practicing with other people all the time. So this technique can really help you improve your pronunciation and develop fluency by yourself, just using an audio input and then imitation. So one interesting thing is that I took some time to research and read some articles about this, and I found many interesting studies that show that using this shadowing technique leads to noticeable improvements in listening, pronunciation, fluency, and vocabulary. If you're interested at all, I'll add, after the class, I'm gonna add the references below the video so you can read these articles if you are interested in research. I find this interesting, but I'll add the references later. I forgot to do that before the class. So let's get started. Let's practice. So how are we going to do this? I divided this activity into 4 parts. There are many ways that you could do this. I like this order because we start with the most easy version, right? The easiest way of doing shadowing, which is listening and reading. And then we move on to more advanced exercises. So the step 1 is just listen and read, which is basically input, comprehensible input. The ideal input is that one that it is a little bit challenging, but not too difficult. Usually if you listen and read at the same time, the input becomes more comprehensible, right? You can understand better than just listening, especially if you are a beginner level student. The step 2 would be listen, pause, and repeat. So this includes imitation, right? So you listen to one sentence, pause, and then repeat, trying to imitate pronunciation, intonation, everything. And step 3 will be the close shadowing, which is to listen and repeat at the same time, like half a second later. So this is more difficult. This close shadowing would be more for upper intermediate students. It might be difficult for beginner level students. But I recommend you practice all these 3 steps and see how you feel. If you are a beginner level student, maybe you should always do like listen, pause, and repeat. If you are an intermediate or advanced learner, I think that close shadowing is more interesting and more challenging. And step 4 would be this is not related to shadowing, but I do recommend you do this because it's important to have that practice without any reading and with like a free practice, so you can really improve your fluency in speaking. But I recommend you do that as the 4th step. Take some minutes. You can start by writing down, talking about yourself or talking about the topic that you just listened to, and then practice speaking without reading. So this is something that you can do to help you develop more fluency. So let's get started. I have here a text, and we are going to go through all these steps together. So step number 1, just input. So now you don't need to speak at all. Just listen after me. Just listen to me and read the text that is on the screen. You can see the Portuguese and the English version. Of course, I recommend you focus on Portuguese. Only read the translation if you really need. If you really feel like, oh, I cannot understand anything, I'm going to read the translation. But if you can, focus on Portuguese only, okay? So now, don't repeat after me, just listen, just input. Listen and read at the same time. Ready? Os sonhos de João. João tem 23 anos e muitos sonhos para o futuro. Ele estuda engenharia na Universidade de São Paulo e quer se formar no próximo ano. Depois disso, ele planeja trabalhar em uma grande empresa de tecnologia. Mas João não pensa só no trabalho. Ele também sonha em viajar pelo mundo. Ele quer conhecer países como o Japão, a Itália e o Canadá. Ele acredita que viajar é uma forma de aprender sobre outras culturas e crescer como pessoa. Além disso, João tem um plano especial. Ele quer comprar uma casa para seus pais. Ele cresceu em uma casa pequena, mas cheia de amor, e agora quer retribuir tudo o que seus pais fizeram por ele. João sabe que seus sonhos exigem esforço e dedicação, mas ele está animado com o futuro. Ele acredita que, com trabalho duro e paciência, poderá alcançar todos os seus objetivos. Okay, so this was the first step. If I read too quickly, what I recommend you do is that after this class, you can go back to the recording. This recording will be available, and you can slow down the pace, right? You can use the tools in this video and slow down and listen to it 0.8 or maybe 0.5, right? So now let's move on to part 2 of this exercise. This part 2 includes listen and repeat, but I'm going to pause and give you time to repeat after me, right? I'm going to pause after every sentence or maybe in the middle of long sentences, so you have time to repeat after me. Just let me drink some water. Are you ready? So let's do it. Repeat after me, imitating the pronunciation, the intonation, even like the movement of my lips if you can. Os sonhos de João. João tem 23 anos e muitos sonhos para o futuro. Ele estuda engenharia na Universidade de São Paulo e quer se formar no próximo ano. Depois disso, ele planeja trabalhar em uma grande empresa de tecnologia. Let's move on to the next one. Mas João não pensa só no trabalho. Ele também sonha em viajar pelo mundo. Ele quer conhecer países como o Japão, a Itália e o Canadá. Ele acredita que viajar é uma forma de aprender sobre outras culturas e crescer como pessoa. Além disso, João tem um plano especial. Ele quer comprar uma casa para seus pais. Ele cresceu em uma casa pequena, mas cheia de amor, e agora quer retribuir tudo o que seus pais fizeram por ele. João sabe que seus sonhos exigem esforço e dedicação, mas ele está animado com o futuro. Ele acredita que, com trabalho duro e paciência, poderá alcançar todos os seus objetivos. Muito bem, okay, so we finished the second step. Before we move on to the third step, I want to hear from you. How are you doing? Was it difficult? Was it hard? Let me know in the comment section, in the chat. Deixa-me ver. Oh, I'm really glad, Bill, that you like my content. Obrigada. Engenharia. Engenheiro. Muito bom, Timothy. I would say engenharia, the name of the field, right? Engineer. Engenharia. I think it's engineering in English. And the profession is engenheiro. Eu sou engenheiro. Engenheiro. It's a difficult word to pronounce, I think. You have to practice. The phrases were a bit too long. Yeah, I think they were a bit too long too. Maybe I should have read up to the middle, right? Some sentences are too long. Muito bom. Engenharia é difícil, right, Jason? Oi, Jason. This word got you. Engenharia. Engenharia. A bit too fast. So I recommend, Judy, that you try to do this exercise later and slow down the speed of the video. Foi bom, que bom. Ah, muito obrigada pelo carinho, Marine. Bastante fácil, que bom. Nice pace. I think the pace that I read is good for upper beginner to lower intermediate level students. It's difficult for complete beginners and maybe too easy for advanced learners. So if you are a complete beginner, I recommend you watch this video later. And also there are other videos if you download the worksheet that I recommend you do. There's a link to another video there that you can also slow down to do this exercise. And if you're an advanced learner, you can also look for more advanced, more fast-paced content. Que bom, que bom! Excelente! Esse passo incluído ler também, ou só escutar? So you can do in both ways, Cicely. You can, if you are comfortable without reading, you can do without reading. But if you feel it's still too difficult to do this without reading, then you can do reading. So you can, both ways work. I think you can adapt to your level, how you feel about the content. Muito bom. Are you ready for the next step? The next step is the most challenging one. Based on Cecily's question, I think that's the question that many students have. Should I read at the same time or not? You can decide how you feel most comfortable with. Of course, if you can do without reading, this is more advanced and more challenging. So if you feel like, oh, this exercise is too easy for me, try to do without reading. You notice that it gets much more challenging and advanced if you do without reading, right? So you can try that. But if you find this too challenging, reading really helps to do this exercise. Vamos lá? Prontos? Para o próximo? Are you ready? Prontos? Vamos lá. So the next step's shadowing. Close shadowing, which means I'm going to read without any pause, and I want you to repeat with me, like half a second, 1/4 of a second after me. If you have to skip words, it's fine. When I'm doing this exercise, when I'm studying French or Italian and I do this exercise, sometimes I put on my earphones and I focus and I repeat, but sometimes I have to skip some words because it's too fast, it's hard to say every single word. It's okay, you can skip some words. Just go back and continue and don't stop doing the exercise until we finish, okay? Vamos lá. I'm going to read like a medium pace, not too slow, not too fast. Ready? If you can, do without reading. Then it's the real shadowing, close shadowing exercise. But if you find too difficult, it's okay to read. Okay? Vamos lá. Os sonhos de João. João tem 23 anos e muitos sonhos para o futuro. Ele estuda engenharia na Universidade de São Paulo e quer se formar no próximo ano. Depois disso, ele planeja trabalhar em uma grande empresa de tecnologia. Mas João não pensa só no trabalho. Ele também sonha em viajar pelo mundo. Ele quer conhecer países como o Japão, a Itália e o Canadá. Ele acredita que viajar é uma forma de aprender sobre outras culturas e crescer como pessoa. Além disso, João tem um plano especial. Ele quer comprar uma casa para seus pais. Ele cresceu em uma casa pequena, mas cheia de amor, e agora quer retribuir tudo o que seus pais fizeram por ele. João sabe que seus sonhos exigem esforço e dedicação, mas ele está animado com o futuro. Ele acredita que, com trabalho duro e paciência, poderá alcançar todos os seus objetivos. Okay, how did you go? This third step is more challenging, é mais desafiador. Let me know in the chat how was the exercise for you. I'm gonna go back to the chat, to the comment section. Essa técnica é boa com músicas também? I think so. You can also do this with songs, com músicas. Yeah, and it's fun, right, to sing along. Yeah, I love it. I think that using like content when people are speaking will be more useful in terms of really practicing how people really speak, like the intonation, right? Songs that are more like poetic and not the real way that we speak, but it is fun. I think you can totally do this with songs as well. I sounded so fluent. That's amazing. Yeah, I know what you mean. I also, when I do this, I feel like amazing. Wow, I'm speaking so well. But yeah, but it's a good exercise, right? I find it fun and interesting. Okay. Yes, it's really hard at the beginning to do without reading. I think without reading is good. When you reach a level that you can really understand what the audio without any reading, then it's when you should do this exercise without reading. Because if you don't understand, it's really frustrating and it's hard. You had to skip a fair amount. Yeah, that's normal. That's totally normal. So when you do this later, let's say I want to really encourage you to do this exercise by yourself. You can look for content that you find interesting. You can then find the pace, right? Look for a pace. You can, usually most tools, YouTube and also podcasts, the platforms allow you to choose the speed. So you can look for the perfect speed. For example, for me, when I'm listening to Italian, the perfect speed is 0.8 because their normal speed is too fast. So 0.8 it's when I feel comfortable. So you should look for that. And then you can play, and if you have to skip words, it's totally fine. Just continue doing the exercise. And you should see improvements in your listening and speaking after a while. Que bom, Eddie. Muito bom, Scott. Muito bom, Thomas. Shadow, este contexto. You know, we don't have like a perfect term in Portuguese for this activity. It would be repetir, like repeat, or imitar, imitate. Shadow means sombra in Portuguese, but I don't think we use this term in Portuguese. I think we borrow the word shadowing from English when you're talking about this technique in Portuguese. Ah, muito bom, Gabriel. Oh, you find this easier than repeating. I think sometimes repeating entire sentences, if you're not reading, it's harder to remember, right? Because then you're actually training your memory to repeat long sentences without reading. So shadowing is easier in this sense. Yes, Jiroen. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. If you focus on the meaning, then you cannot do the shadowing, right? You feel like block. So one thing I recommend you just relax and do the exercise and focus on the sounds. I think you can focus more on meaning and form when doing the other parts, right? The reading and the phrase shadowing, right? Repeating phrase by phrase will allow you to have time to think about the form and the meaning. But when doing shadowing, the close shadowing, there is no time. So you just go and focus on the sounds. Oh, this is good, Siska. You can then improve your pronunciation because you notice the difference, right? Ah, very good. It's similar to Spanish. Ah, que bom, Cicely. That's a great sign that you really like your listening is good enough to do this exercise without reading. That's amazing. See, and my R's, they are casca cantem. My R's, they are they vary. I have a mixed accent in Portuguese. Que legal. Yes, very similar to Spanish. Vega. Oh, very good. You understood about 80 to 90%. That's amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Claudio. Okay, everybody, you still have a few minutes, 5 minutes. Think if you have any questions for me, I'm here to help you with your Portuguese. I highly recommend you do these activities. I'm going to see what else I have here to share with you on my document. So how to add this exercise to your study routine? As I mentioned before, if you're a beginner level, doing the last activity is, of course, challenging. I recommend you try it, but if you find it too difficult, it's totally fine to focus on the number 1 and 2, right? You can pause, and also you don't have to pause after long sentences, and maybe you can pause after short clauses, right? And then repeat. Also, you can do like you can change the speed of the audio so it's not too fast for you. But if you have reached already an intermediate level, if you could do this shadowing exercise easily with me today without reading, that means you're ready to do the step 3 without reading. Just look for audios that you find interesting, play and listen and do this exercise. I would recommend doing this for 10 to 15 minutes because you'll notice that you get tired because you have to focus a lot, right, and repeat. So you don't have to do this for a long time. If you do this for 10 to 15 minutes a day, and if you do this for 30 days, you see a huge improvement in how you feel with content. You feel more comfortable with listening and more comfortable with speaking, and you see improvements in your pronunciation. You'll learn a lot of vocabulary by context, right? You don't have, even if you don't understand some words, if you don't know some words, you'll notice that if you practice this regularly, it will become easier and easier to understand the meaning of words by the context. Of course, you can always check the dictionary, but you'll learn a lot by context. So where to find the ideal materials? There's so much content available on the internet today, so this is the good news. It's important to find material that's a little bit above your level, but not too hard, not impossible to understand. Of course, you find a lot of content on my YouTube channel. If you're a beginner level student, I recommend you start with the basic course playlist because I speak at a slower pace on that playlist, and also you find subtitles so you can read along. And also the YouTube club that I created, I offer the transcripts, bilingual transcripts. If you are already intermediate or advanced, I recommend the playlist also on this channel called Bate Papo, because this playlist, in this playlist you find conversations, and also the Speaking Brazilian podcast conversations is also a more natural pace, so it'll be a challenge for you to try to repeat together when I'm speaking at a natural pace. And of course, as I said at the beginning of the class, I highly recommend the listening speaking challenge. If you enjoyed this exercise that you did today, you love this challenge because what I did, I created like a story of Carolina. Carolina is a Brazilian woman, and she's traveling around Brazil, visiting the most relevant, let's say the most known capital cities in Brazil. And you do this exercise, and at the same time, you learn a lot about Brazil and Brazilian culture and Brazilian food, places to visit. So it's a really, you follow Carolina on her trip, and you do this exercise every day. And the challenge will help you to create this habit of doing this activity every single day. You have like 5 steps in the activity that you have to complete. And one, if you join the challenge, the version with feedback, you can record the audio at the end of each day and send to our team, and you receive feedback on your pronunciation. So if this is something that you find interesting, look for I'm sending an email tomorrow if you are on my list. If you're not on my list, you just visit our website, speakingbrazilian.com, to learn more about this challenge. You find it on our website tomorrow. Let me go back to the comment sections to see if there is any question or comment. Yes, sometimes Italian and Portuguese are very similar, but there are many false friends and the pronunciation is very different. So you have to, I think this exercise can really help Italians improve pronunciation. Question from Vega, how can we get more vocabulary and apply these new words when we're writing or speaking? This vocabulary is something that you really learn with a lot of input. So I think if you do this exercise regularly, you see that naturally you learn a lot of new words. And to bring this to speaking and writing, what you can do is after doing this shadowing exercise, you can take 5 to 10 minutes to write down. You can write your own ideas, you can write about yourself or write about the topic that you just listened to. And then after writing a little bit, try to use new vocabulary and then try to speak, put your paper aside and try to speak about it, about the same topic without reading. This is an exercise that you can do to try to incorporate new vocabulary, because the only way to really remember vocabulary is to use it. You can have like a passive knowledge, which means you understand it, but you cannot really use it. So this is something that you have to, this practice, speaking practice, is something that you have to incorporate. Oh, Steve, it will be the same. So if you have taken this challenge last year, there is nothing new in terms of this story. You can retake it. I'm not going you can retake it just paying like a small fee, not the full price. If you want to receive, do the exercise together with everyone and receive feedback. But the content, this story will be the same. It takes a long time to create it, so it will be difficult to create a completely new story. Como posso adquirir sotaque como do Rio de Janeiro? It's a beautiful accent. Just look for content. Usually you incorporate accents from people that you hang out with, right? So one way to incorporate this accent is just consume content from Rio de Janeiro. Look for YouTube videos and podcasts from people who are from Rio and do this exercise, and I'm sure you get some carioca accent. Muito bom. Just seeing here if there is any last comment. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's class. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I see you next time. Nos vemos na próxima. Tchau, tchau.